Hi. Thank you for attending today's reading. Let's begin. Suicidal. This was my experience going to the hospital. Please read also. I'm not gonna get into my whole life story, but I'll just say it was pretty bad. I was neglected and emotionally abused. Lived in a one-bedroom apartment with like 7 pets. My mom and her boyfriend that I hated. The place was disgusting and we barely ever had food. Major depression and anxiety followed it. I only just recently moved in with my dad to escape when I was 16. But the situation there wasn't great either. So I wasn't able to see a therapist or get prescriptions because my parents didn't want to deal with it and me. Well, this one day I was just feeling all too suicidal. I tried talking to a text hotline, but apparently it was too bad and they called the police. I swear, the most terrifying thing I've experienced. 5 cop cars pulling up beside my house. Flashing lights everywhere. I was pacing and crying all while they walk up and knock on the door. My dad answered it. They came into my room and talked to me. I was so out of it. I couldn't believe this was happening. They asked me where the knife was and to put on some shoes and to come with them. Slowly I did. Still thinking this is all a dream. I came out and my dad was there talking casually to one of the cops about his job. Of course he doesn't care. He asks me, "You got something to tell me?" I didn't say anything. He said he'd be at the hospital after she showers and eats. No care in the world. Like everything's normal. I just left with the cops. I went in the lady's cop car. She asked me a bit of what's going on. She was nice. At the hospital it took forever to get a room and people to talk to me. It was also the first time I remember getting my blood drawn. The person doing it messed up and had to do it again. I hate needles and that just made me anxious AF. Finally I got to a room and my dad got there. He was still casually talking to me. Clearly not understanding how to deal with this situation. They moved me room to room and the experience wasn't pleasant. Had to change out of my clothes into the hospital paper sheets. The nurses weren't that nice. Maybe one was. Well, they finally moved me to the suicide watch room. Guards watching me at all time. Felt like a prison. It took forever for the psychologist to get to me. And even at first glance I felt bad vibes from her. Well, I told her my story. What my life has been. What I've been going through. And one part that was noted in this was my mom was going through a psychotic episode on top of everything that's been going on. Just an add-on to the stressor. And I swear after I was done telling her everything, the first thing she asked me was, "Are you doing this for attention?" I sat there in disbelief. Silence. She then asked, "Is this because your mom is getting all the attention since Shush's psychotic and needs help and you want attention too?" I literally couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was too shocked to think about what to even think of this. She then asked again, "It's okay to say you just wanted the attention," and I blurted out, "No," as sternly as I could. She just kinda did a If I was in my right mind I would have told her to fuck off and get out. But I couldn't. And she just left to talk to my dad outside. After they talked he came in and said that she was a really nice lady and he likes her. That Shush is smart. I was so upset. What could I say now? Oh, actually, I think Shush is awful and doesn't care a single bit about mental health, and I don't know why she has this job. No. I just went with it. I didn't want to deal with that now. I didn't say anything. Well, I had to stay in the suicide watch room all night before they could move me to an inpatient hospital for mental services the next day. The worst. Lights always on. Guards always watching me. Had to take my vitals every 4 hours. How could I possibly sleep? This hospital experience was a nightmare. Oh, and by the way, I was born at that hospital. Of course I had to be born in a hellhole like that. Despite all of this, however, I don't regret a thing. The inpatient hospital I was taken to the next day was amazing. It helped me a lot. I met really great people there. One who I would hang out with even after we got out. The staff were great. The group therapies were my favorite. I honestly didn't wanna leave. I felt accepted there. After I got out, I got regular therapy with a therapist I loved, and I was put on medication. I was finally getting help. Things were still rough after that. But slowly things would get better. Still had downs. But that's life. Much has happened in my life since then. I'm now 19, and while my life isn't perfect or that great, I can say things have never been better. I say this for everyone afraid to reach out and get help. Yes, things may be incredibly hard in the beginning. But I promise the outcome is far worth it. Make your voice heard. I would wish to thank the other person on the line of the hotline I contacted that night. I was so angry in the beginning for them calling the police. And the first hospital was a nightmare. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have gotten the help I needed and be where I am today. End of story. Next story. When Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm saved a man from death row. What if I told you that HBO's Curb Your Enthusiasm was responsible for keeping an innocent man from a death sentence? You'd probably say, wait, isn't Curb a fictional comedy? You must be talking about something else. Some true crime spotlight show. Right? Wrong. So wrong. Netflix even released a documentary on the story called Long Shot. Larry himself was interviewed. I can see you eager for more, dear reader. So let's get right into it. A witness, a murder, and a hurried arrest. In early May 2003, Martha Puebla took the witness stand. The 16-year-old testified against her ex-boyfriend, José Ledesma, and Mario Catalán for accessory to 2 murders in a gang-related shooting. A week later, Martha was murdered. She was shot dead outside of her residence in Sun Valley, California. The police arrested Mario Catalán's brother, Juan Catalán, for Martha's murder. The police thought that Juan had murdered Martha on the orders of his brother and José Ledesma. Oh. Revenge hit. They were not correct. But when did that ever stop the police? AMIRIGHT? Juan faced the death penalty. Catalán was placed behind bars while awaiting trial. Had he been found guilty, he would have received the death penalty. Catalán hired a lawyer, Todd Melnick. When they first met, Catalán told Melnick he was innocent. In fact, he even had an alibi for May 12. During the murder, he went to the Los Angeles Dodgers game with his 6-year-old daughter, his cousin Miguel, and his friend Ruben. He had plenty of details ready to go when asked. 2. Catalán noted that the game was tied late until the visiting team, the Atlanta Braves, scored 7 runs in the 9th inning to win the game 11-4. Catalán recalled that he and his companions left the game and stopped to buy baseball cards with his daughter. He even called his girlfriend outside the stadium. Then he drove everyone home. Catalán then produced tickets from the game. Apparently, this was not strong enough evidence to let him go, even though it seems like it should be, considering it was circumstantial evidence that put him on trial in the first place. A fruitless search for alibi evidence. Melnick was not deterred, using Catalán's seat number for reference. He searched through every bit of game film to identify his client in the crowd. But no luck. He then contacted the ticket holders in the nearby seats to testify on Catalan's behalf. None felt comfortable testifying. But there was one more avenue to explore. C. Catalan mentioned he saw a film crew at the game in his aisle. In fact, he said they were blocking the aisle. Hope emerges. Enter Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm. Melnick went back to Dodger Stadium and spoke with the media department. They told him that on that May 12 game, Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm was being filmed. So Melnick called HBO. They let him sift through the unedited film. Eureka! In an interview with NBC News, Melnick recalled the moment he saw his client on film. We were watching tape after tape after tape, and finally he showed up after tape number 5. I jumped out of my chair and pointed at the screen and said, "That's him. That's him." Quote. In the footage that got him off, Catalan brushes right against Larry. Seconds before Larry raises his arms in a gesture of mock triumph. After reviewing the tape and timestamps, the judge dismissed all charges. Juan was then awarded $320,000 for being falsely accused of murder and wrongly confined for 6 months. Pretty good. To this day, attorney Todd Melnick and Juan Catalan maintain a close relationship. Juan is now, obviously, an avid fan of Curb. Deeper dives with Larry and the gang. The story of Juan Catalan and Curb Your Enthusiasm is illustrated in the Netflix documentary Long Shot. In the doc, Larry apparently shrugs off the whole incident as, "Maybe something I could impress a date with." Classic Larry. Here's an almost a true crime podcast episode on this wild tale. I'm Andy. If you like stuff like this, my writing partner and I have a free weekly newsletter about mystery, crime and pop culture. We'd love to write it full-time, and the more of you reading, the likelier that becomes. Check us out. https://mysterynibbles.substack.com/. We also have a subreddit. Mystery Nibbles, come join the party. End of story. That is all for today. If you want to support my automated channel, feel free to drop a like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.